Welcome into the Browns Report, everybody. I am your host, Joey O'Donohue, and my goodness, do we have a flurry of breaking news for the Cleveland Browns today. We're going to get to all of it for you. First off, Isaiah Bond announced he's signing with the Browns, an undrafted prospect who was going to go much earlier if it weren't for legal concerns. Also, Quinshon Judkins' charges have been dropped. He will not face any formal charges, and that gives the chance for him to actually sign with the Browns. Also, Cleveland dominated Philly in their joint practice. Get hyped about that in the comments, folks. We'll talk about some of the best Browns plays from it. But when there's breaking news, we cover it here on the Browns Report. That's why drop a sub, because we're going to come out fast with the best analysis, news, everything you need to know. Even if I'm home, I'll come back in the office because I love doing this for you guys and talking Browns all season long. So smash the subscribe button, y'all. We're pushing to 50K. We're 941 away. In fact, even less by the time you're watching this. That's all thanks to you guys. So please go ahead, drop me a subscribe, and I appreciate you as always. Let's get into what we know about Isaiah Bond. He put out a statement on his Twitter saying, "First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Cleveland Browns for believing in me and allowing me the opportunity to continue my career in the NFL. I know there have been questions and reports about the recent allegations. I am grateful for the decision of the prosecutor and the courts not to pursue charges. I will learn from this experience as I grow in wisdom, character, and faith. I'm determined to prove the Browns organization and everyone who believes in me right for putting their trust in me." So Bond is telling us that he's signing with the Cleveland Browns. Now, I should note, Cleveland is still going to do their due diligence, so they haven't actually made a final decision. It's Bond himself as our source. But that probably official signing won't happen today, but likely going to happen soon, given what we just heard from Isaiah Bond. Some more details on the situation that was troubling Bond was he had turned himself in earlier, about a month ago, and he's a stud, y'all. We're absolutely happy if we can get him on the team. Clocked a 4.3940 at the combine. Blazing speed, exciting, explosive player to watch. Not only that, he can play wide or from the slot. He's versatile, and his acceleration, when he changes direction, it's hard for any DB to cover. It's fast. It's 1-2 steps, and boom, he's on his way to the end zone. Finally, he was projected to be a late first in some teams' estimations, potentially a second or third, and then went undrafted due to those concerns. I mean, look at the rookies that Cleveland has got. Shedeur Sanders, Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, now Isaiah Bond, and Harold Fannin Jr. If you told me that, I would have said, how many first-round picks does Cleveland have this year? Insane class of rookies. Props to GM Andrew Berry for getting that done. A lot of those players were projected to go way higher than they did. And shout out Cleveland. It's something to be absolutely ecstatic about, Browns fans. All the rookies that we're bringing in. Credit to Berry. Hope we get the deal done with Bond soon. Moving on to our other rookie. A state attorney office quote on Quinshon Judkins' situation. "The incident was not captured on any video surveillance. There are no independent witnesses to the incident. Although the victim had photos showing injuries sustained, there were also videos in that same time frame where no injuries were observed to the victim. Additionally, the victim's injuries depicted in the photos could be explained by either account of the incident. Finally, there was a delayed report of the incident. The delay is problematic as the victim was alone on numerous occasions without the defendant, had the ability and resources to make the report without his knowledge, but chose not to do so. For the reasons set forth above, there is no reasonable likelihood of conviction, and this case is being declined." So great news for Cleveland there. First and foremost, that Judkins was found not guilty, essentially. We absolutely care about him as a character before the football. But more details on him. He was arrested July 12th in Florida. And the report said the alleged incident wasn't reported for 5 days. This is the delay that they're talking about and part of the reason the case was dropped. Judkins has yet to sign his rookie deal. He's the last Browns rookie of the group that not have a contract yet. But because the charges will not be pursued, now there's a chance for Cleveland to actually get a deal done with Judkins and have him in the running back room. And Judkins is a stud. He was a touchdown machine at Ohio State last season. Look at that. 14 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carries, and over 1,000 yards. With Cleveland's running back room having some uncertainty now, without the workhorse Nick Chubb, one of my favorite Browns ever, we figured Ford would be RB1. or Judkins. But as you saw at the bottom there, Judkins was kind of just in limbo for a little while. No man's land. We didn't know if we were going to see Judkins at all this season or if he would be suspended and we'd have to deal with a little bit of form and some other running back by committee. And Dylan Sampson, another good rookie on the list, by the way. But now, this is great news for Cleveland that the explosive back, Quinshon Judkins, will likely be in our backfield and won't miss any games this year. Now, one caveat to that is an NFL spokesperson did say the matter is still under review. So, the charges have been dropped, but the NFL was doing their own investigation. This should likely help it, and as I said, I don't expect any suspension for Judkins now. But before we celebrate and crack open the bottles, let's put pause on it until the NFL officially declares the ruling that Judkins will be okay. More great news for Cleveland, y'all. It doesn't end today. We dominated the Eagles in joint practice day 2. Defensively, offensively, the Browns were looking great against the ones of the defending Super Bowl champions. First takeaway, Joe Flacco was on fire. He was lighting up the Eagles' defense, a man on a mission, and it furthers his case to be Cleveland's starting QB in Week 1. I've asked your guys' opinions a lot on who you want to see. Joe proved that he should be the guy. When you look at the numbers, he was 7 of 10 in team drills, 70% against that Philly defense. Also, 2 touchdowns. Gabriel, who we'll get into a little bit later, had a rough start, 1 of 5, and then a touchdown. But right now, this is about Flacco. Also in the 11 on 11s, out of his last 6 attempts, he threw 3 touchdowns. 50% touchdown percentage on his last 6. That's crazy. I am very hyped to see this from Flacco. If you know me, I've always been on the team that Flacco should be the Cleveland's Week 1 starter, and then we should bring in Shedeur Sanders. You guys know I've been saying that for weeks. I've never been okay with Pickett being 2 on the depth chart, but I've always wanted Joe to start, a rookie to learn, and then become the face of Cleveland. This is promising, though, because Joe, if he's balling like this, I mean, not only do I want him to start Week 1, but who knows? Maybe we could ride this again. Maybe Cleveland just does something for Joe. I mean, he took us on a little playoff run a few years ago. That was most excited I've been since Baker. So I want to know what y'all think in the comments. Does Flacco give Cleveland the best chance to win games this season? Like, should we actually give him a fair go and let him play as long as he's winning? Let me know in the comments if you think Joe is Cleveland's best option. But now let's get to the other quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. He struggled early against the Eagles in joint practice. As you saw, he was 1 of 5 in team drills overall. It's a little concerning. I mean, the defense is really good. It's a big test to play that Eagles defense, even in a joint practice. But I don't want to get on him or roast him too hard about it because he needs more reps, right? He's nursing an injury. He's not fully healthy. He's not even been declared the starter for Saturday, meaning Stefanski needs to see how he's progressing. And he said he's progressing well. Gabriel said his hamstring's feeling a lot better, and all signs are pointing to him being the starter against Philly. But again, one more plus about this is that he finished strong. So, again, he had the poor start with a lot of incompletions, but then he ended it on an absolute dime, a perfect throw to Harold Fannin Jr., another great rookie, for a touchdown against Philly. Also, not everything that Gabriel did was necessarily his fault. The Browns were dropping balls all day, including this man, Diontae Johnson, who has a history of dropping footballs. He actually led the league in drops in 2020. And I was very hurt by this. I was hoping that Diontae Johnson could be a receiver that stepped up for Cleveland this year. There's a little bit of uncertainty in the wide receiver room. Jeudy had an amazing season, but the Browns don't really have a group of receivers that people point to as best in the league, right? They kind of, even the casual fan would be like, wait, who is the Browns' other receivers? Well, they're going to get to know Cedric Tillman this year because he's a stud. But that's my point. I thought Johnson would maybe be someone that could revive his career here in Cleveland, right? I mean, we're talking about a guy who was over 1,000 yards a few years ago and then just started to fall off, particularly last season. So I'm a little discouraged that there were drops, especially by Diontae, that actually resulted in a pick for Gabriel. So could Cleveland finally find some better receivers? Well, that's why I'm really hyped about the Bond news, but the Johnson part and the drops are a little discouraging. Dog Pound, one more great news that we are all expecting. Myles Garrett could not be stopped. The Eagles' offensive line is one of the best in the league, and Garrett just kept getting through. Also, look at this photo here. Guys, I point this out a lot, but Myles Garrett, shirtless, insane. He's not supposed to look like that. Humans aren't supposed to look like that. He's 270 pounds, 6'4", but he has a shredded six-pack and can jump over an offensive line and windmill dunk. It's not human. He's a freak of nature. He's literally the best player in football. You can make an argument of that. And he was sacking Jalen Hurts on almost every play. He was getting through whoever was guarding him on the Eagles' offensive line. It's amazing, and it shows that keeping Myles Garrett was the biggest win of Cleveland's offseason, in my opinion. I mean, I would have been crushed if the report came out that Garrett was actually being traded. Could you imagine that, Browns fans? Like, he's more than a generational player. He's the defensive player in the year. He's probably the best defender in football. And the fact that the Browns got to keep him was the biggest win. All you had to do was pay the man, and they paid him a lot. He was on the way out. He was fully doing press conferences saying, I'm leaving Cleveland. Then he saw that check. Then he saw that money. And he's with us, Browns fans, for a little bit longer. Get absolutely hyped about that because he was cooking the defending Super Bowl champions. Also, the defense was good all around against a really strong offense. The Eagles did not have a passing touchdown in 5 sessions. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, could not score against Cleveland. So everybody was looking good. Denzel Ward was locking up. We talked about that on the last video. Make sure you go check that out because there was a sick play against Devonta Smith. But not only once did he do that, he actually did it twice. And Cleveland all around was just dominant offensively, defensively. Take a look at this sequence of plays that occurred. Jerry Jeudy beats Quinshon Mitchell for a touchdown. Jeudy, who had an amazing breakout season last season, is the bona fide number 1 for the Browns. Denzel Ward, as I mentioned, pass breakup on Devonta Smith in the end zone. He did it yesterday. We showed you that play. Another sick one today. Ward was locking up. He's one of the best corners in football. Joe Flacco hitting Njoku for a touchdown. Remember, all these plays are essentially back-to-back against arguably the best defense in football. And then the Browns surprised Philly with a trick play. Dylan Sampson with a little pitch to Harold Fannin made itself in for a touchdown. Cleveland was getting cute, having their way with home of the Philly special. And finally, as I said earlier, Fannin caught a touchdown from Dylan Gabriel, rookie to rookie. Everything was promising. Much better practice today than yesterday for Cleveland. And a little fun note to end off their practice session. Landon Dickerson, if you can see in the bottom there, that's a bag of beers that he brought for all the big boys. Joel Bitonio said it was a really nice gesture. They all cracked open some cold ones together and enjoyed a little bit of time out on the field. If you guys made it to this point, you're the best. We love you. We appreciate you. Go ahead, drop me a follow on X at JoeyO70. And once again, we'll have you covered with all things Browns news as it comes out. Thanks for watching.